Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the War on Pop Culture. This is episode 3. I'm Special Agent Spooky Clutter.
I'm Special Agent Carter Sauce.
And we are once again joined by the King of a Nation to guest star with us on this series. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you. Stan Lee is in the house.
And today, or tonight, we are discussing cancel culture. Obviously, if you're reading the title, it's cancel culture and the assault on free speech. We're going to be discussing cancel culture and how it has affected free speech, particularly in this country, United States, Western countries, U.S., UK, places like that. And, this is the war on pop culture, and the idea of cancel culture is something that is very prevalent in our society, and it's also very prevalent in pop culture, which is why we're discussing it. We might be joined by Michael, aka Wolfman from Mega Movies. He might join in a little bit later. If not, I wish you were here, buddy, but the war goes on. So when we're talking about cancel culture, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a definition from Webster's dictionary because, you got to have a proper definition for the term. That way people can understand where you're coming from, and it helps to even things out and to make sure that what you're delivering is understandable and people know where you stand, particularly on the subject. And before we do that, we're going to go ahead and address the chat real quick. So Rusty's commented. Hello there, Rusty. Says, evening, folks. Back to cautiously walk down your road in curiosity of the true destination. LOL. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Now, for us, we are, of course, cautious, but at the same time, we're also going to be blunt where we have to be. Because at this point, with the way pop culture is going and how many things that we've enjoyed have been affected, I'm almost done not being blunt about certain things. I'm kind of at a point now where I just don't care.
Give a shit.
Yeah.
So that's blunt.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because look, this whole series was born on our personal experiences, which we're going to touch on just a little bit tonight.
Right.
We're also going to discuss what has happened in pop culture. Look, cancel culture is something that's very personal to us. It's something that, like I said, we're going to touch on a little bit later tonight. I just want to make sure that we get the definition down and give examples. We give our own little personal testimonies on things. But just know that this particular subject is very close to the chest for us. It's something that has personally affected us in a smaller scale, but it has affected us nonetheless. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this up really quick. See if I can share the screen. Let's see. That way everyone can see.
Nope.
Let me know if you guys can see that.
Yep.
All right, so this is the Merriam-Webster dictionary website.
Merriam-Webster dictionary.
Of course, this all depends on if you really find them to be a legitimate source for definitions.
It's better than Wikipedia, I would think.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but then again, sometimes they've done stupid things on there too. But
right.
Whatever. It is what it is.
No shit, right?
So, definition of cancel culture: the practice or tendency of engaging in mass canceling as a way of expressing disapproval and exerting social pressure. So this is someone. Here's an example of it. Demetra Slight, I guess.
Slight.
Probably butchered that, but this is what this individual has said about cancel culture. She says, he or she, for those of you who aren't aware, cancel culture refers to the mass withdrawal of support from public figures or celebrities who have done things that aren't socially accepted today. The practice of canceling or mass shaming often occurs on social media platforms such as Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. Let's see. Another one here, Hunter Woodall. At a Republican National Convention where speakers rage about cancel culture has been clear former Covington Catholic student Nick Sandman, interestingly, used his speaking slot to introduce himself as the teenager who was defamed by the media.
Yeah, well, just a real quick note.
Yeah, go ahead.
They defamed him because they set up a Native American to go out there pounding on his tambourine to engage them, so they would have this idea of white versus Native American.
Oh, that's who that was?
Oh yeah, man.
That's who that was. Okay,
That was a big.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I remember that incident. I just didn't remember the kid's name.
yeah,
So
they should. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, as a side note, of course, we got to go back. I mean, that incident and that whole court case and all that shit that got vindicated, Sandman. And in fact, I think he won like quite a few $1 million over that whole incident because they set him up. They set him up, and you saw the result of it. So,
right. Yep. So there you go. There's your definition and a few examples of cancel culture. And the thing about cancel culture is that it's happening so much these days. And I'm wondering when it's all going to stop and when the pendulum is going to swing in the opposite direction. Because we're getting to a point now where people are being canceled for having differing opinions. And it doesn't even matter what political aisle you align with, because people of every background are being affected by this. Republican, Democrat, non-denominational or whatever, the middle parties or the parties that aren't of the big two. We saw this with Gina Carano, and we've talked about it before. But we're going to talk about it again because this is very much relevant to cancel culture, and it's one of the biggest incidents that occurred where people really started considering, how dangerous cancel culture is and how stupid it is, really. So Gina Carano, she was an actress on Disney Star Wars' The Mandalorian. As a quick side note, it was a fairly mediocre show. I mean, it was all right, I guess. But anyway, so Gina Carano was very well known on social media. I think it goes without saying that she caused quite a few heads to turn. She was one of the very few Hollywood actresses to not tote the company line, so to speak. She was very open about certain things, and she was very blunt about a lot of things, and she still is, thank God. I'm glad that they haven't thrown her off of Twitter, though I'm pretty sure they would do their best to do so, demonizing her for her different beliefs and such. But the big thing that got her fired was when she talked about the treatment of Jews in Nazi Germany and comparing it to people of differing political opinions today that are being canceled. And it's ironic because she herself would be canceled by Twitter, social media, and Disney itself for daring to say that there's a very chilling similarity to the treatment of Jews in Nazi Germany to people of differing political opinions. And contrary to what a lot of social media people would have you believe, and social media sites as well, she wasn't comparing what it's like to be a Republican to being a Jew in Nazi Germany. If you go to her original post, she never said anything whatsoever about conservative, Republican, liberal, Democrat. She said nothing of the sort. If you go to her post, there's no mention of any of those political parties. She merely said having differing political opinions. And this is very true because let's be honest, you can't have anything other than extreme leftist views in Hollywood because Hollywood is full of leftist people. You see this on places like Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, going into the movies, Chris Evans, Mark Ruffalo, even Scarlett Johansson, and really the political opinions of actors and actresses really shouldn't matter because you don't go to these people to know their political views. You go there to watch them to pretend to be somebody else.
Right.
Exactly.
That's something. Yep. And so I'm always of the opinion that actors and actresses should not be sharing their political views, if I'm being honest, because it can ruin your enjoyment of media if you're, if you don't have if you have differing political views. And the thing is that it kind of goes without saying that you expect people to have differing political views. That's not the problem. The problem is that when these people like to express how they feel about certain things, it kind of ruins your enjoyment of movies. I do my best to ignore certain things like that, but it's hard to do so, especially because the media is propagating these actors and actresses to have these views and very open with it. And which may seem nice. It's like, well, it's good that people can express their views and not be ostracized for it, except That's not what's happening, because if you are for example, conservative in Hollywood, you're going to get outed. That's just how it is. That's not me being a conservative party member, not me being a Republican. That's just a fact. Okay. If you are not a hardcore leftist, you will be ostracized. Gina
Go ahead.
Carano is the shining example of it.
Right. Carter, go ahead and say what you're going to say.
Yes, now that's the thing though, like why celebrities should never get involved in politics though. Example, like here's the thing though, whenever I'm meeting friends or I want to go meet people, things I don't bring up religion, I don't bring up fucking politics, I don't bring up anything in the world. I leave that shit out the door because those are the things that could ruin a conversation. Religion, like I said, those could ruin a conversation immediately. You leave that shit. You only practice that shit at home and you don't brag about it. Like just like people like it's just like people like who were like that flaunt their like sexuality around. They're okay with that though. But as soon as you do that, you're going to have like people with you or people that are against you.
Right. And so if you go back to the 1700s, Carter, you're going to find out that there's only 3% of American colonists that fought the Civil War. So I disagree with you. I believe immediately
Civil War or the Revolution?
The Revolutionary War. Thank you for correcting me.
Yep.
I think that we can't be shy. This is the country that we grew up in. We have a constitution. We have a republic, constitutional republic, and we can't shy away from the engagement of conversation. Just because when I was a kid, when you disagree with somebody, you disagreed. We had our shit show or whatever, but guess what? When it was over, we go still play together. Okay, so we can't hide our perceptions about what's going on in our country, our activism, whatever, left, right, indifferent, whatever. It's very important for us to speak out because this is our country. Okay, this is pretty much the last free republic on the planet. I don't know if there's any other republics left, but I can't go hide in a corner. So we need to speak out. We need to engage humanity, right? Because we are a nation of nations, and the United States. And go ahead, Carter. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, just go ahead, Dad. Go on and finish what you were saying, and then I'm going to address the chat.
Okay, so here we go. The United States of America, like I was saying, is a melting pot. Nation upon nations of peoples wanted to come here because of the freedom that was presented, where you can start a new life and get into business and all the accolades that go along with this republic. And these people were welcomed in here. So it's very, very important that this stage, if you will, is still available to humanity, because the jealousy of other nations because of what we've done, and it wasn't perfect, okay? People will, especially in this current era, will talk about slavery and all these other things. Well, I encourage you to go back and look at slavery, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1,000 years beyond to understand what slavery was really about. And I don't want to get off on a tangent on that. I'm just saying that we are the collective. We are the people. We are speaking together in one unison voice of freedom. And that free speech moment is very imperative to the continuation of the republic.
Very well said. So we got Danner Bobanner in the chat. He says, speaking of Gina Carano, hello there. Hello there. He says, fuck cancel culture. The Mandalorian is the best thing Disney Star Wars has produced. I stand with Gina. This is the way.
Until that prick decided to mouth his mouth off, the Mandalorian.
Yeah, Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, Pedro, fuck Kel, whatever.
So Rusty says, I know someone, I find out something awful about them and no longer wish to like or associate with them for legit reasons. A million other people happen to feel the same way. Is that cancel culture or a revelation? Well, here's the thing. Okay. When you say something awful, having a general term like that, you need to be more specific with what the person said. And then you also need to discuss, look at the definition of cancel culture, which we already did. And then ask yourself if you want to have your entire reputation be soiled because somebody on social media says that what you said was wrong. Again, it's a case by case basis, and that's what it is for a lot of things, because you can say that someone did something awful, but another person might not see it that way.
But it doesn't have a goddamn thing to do with cancel culture, man. You got a problem fucking somebody, that's what you have.
Well,
You got a
no, I
problem
mean,
with somebody.
because if you look at what he says, I know someone, and that someone could be anybody. We'll use like an actor, for example. You find out something awful about them and no longer wish to like or associate with them for legit reasons. Is a million other people happen to feel the same way? Is that
Quit
cancel
feeling
culture?
quit feeling for the other million people, Rusty, and state your point. Okay, you got a problem with somebody that's a dickhead or whatever, you deal with it. It has nothing to do with cancel culture. You had a revelation that he fucked you over or she fucked you over, deal with it. It has nothing to do with the political
Yeah, I
position
mean, this is what I say about it. Okay, if an actor says something I don't like,
or a friend.
I'm not going to call for them to be canceled or removed from their jobs. If they
Canceled.
said something really
Fucking
stupid,
idiots.
I may not agree with what that person said. I may call what they said stupid, but I would never say that that person needs to be removed from the platform. When Pedro Pascal said the stupid shit that he said, I'm
Yeah.
not going to call for him to be canceled, because one, that'd be hypocritical, and two, that will achieve very little. So when Gina Carano said what she said and she got fired for it, that's bullshit. If it were to have happened to Pedro Pascal, I'd say that's bullshit. With that said, and this is something that we'll talk about later, and I have to look more into this story because this is something I just found out about not too long ago. But there were some people that recently got removed from Twitch. I don't remember their names off the top of my head, but these people are known for calling for cancel culture. And I watched a video about this, and the guy that this guy that I was watching, somebody had asked him if he would, call out the bullshit for Twitch removing these people for saying what they said. Again, I don't remember exactly what they said, but I would say this, that I wouldn't go to bat for those people. I'm not going to go out of my way to say that they deserve to be canceled. I would say that they said what they said, they got removed. I'm almost indifferent. At the same time, I also say I'm not going to go to bat for the very people that were trying to have me canceled. That's just not something that I would do. And that's not me saying that they should have been canceled. That's not me saying that they should be canceled. That's me saying I'm not going to go support you when you yourself were trying to cancel people.
Yeah, it's a big time contradiction for sure.
Danner says, when I meet new people, I bring up the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise. It is a story that the Jedi would not tell. And then he also says, Pedro is a douche.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he is an asshole.
Amen to that.
Rusty says, but if a million other people feel the same way I do, does that make it cancel culture because I feel that way?
Giving a fuck about any other people. Stand your position for what you believe in and understand to be truth, and stand on it.
Here's the thing because we already defined cancel culture. When you're canceling somebody, that means a mass, and this is particularly looking at social media. Again, look back at what happened to Gina Carano. So with cancel culture, you're literally calling for that person to be deplatformed and to make sure that they can't get employed at wherever it was they were employed. I'll give an example. Somebody has a store. It could be just a general store that has all your usual concessions and whatnot. And they have a picture on their wall that supports the Second Amendment. One person walks into this store. They see that picture and they say, I don't like the poster you have there. I don't like guns. I find it offensive. So then that person goes on Twitter or whatever other social media platform, takes a picture of what that guy has on his wall, and then this person calls for this person that owns the store to be canceled, to have their store shut down because what they have on there is offensive. That's cancel culture. Okay. That person gets their business taken away, and they also cannot no longer open a business because they've been defamed, shamed on social media and such.
Sounds like fucking Nazi Germany to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's cancel culture. Okay. And if hell, a million people could feel very wrong, or they could be wrong on what they feel. Okay. How you feel versus what's an actual fact, those are two very different
your
things.
feelings, man. You better get with the facts and understand history.
Because the truth can hurt people, but that doesn't change what the truth is.
That's right.
And of course, it's a situational basis, because you can't use one term and apply it broadly because the world is not black and white. There are shades of gray.
Yeah.
There's not always a set standard to things,
Like,
to everything. Okay. There can be set standards to certain things, but that's not how it is for everything.
like, let me give you another.
Go ahead,
sorry,
Carter.
Let me give you another example of cancel culture. Like, example, let's say, one of my favorite comedians who is no longer in the land of living, George Carlin. If he was still alive today, he would, like, in a cancel culture era, try to attack him. I'm pretty sure they are giving him ammunition because you give him ammunition, he's gonna fire right back at you because he talked a lot about, like, back in the days, like when PC wasn't a thing though, because you know who
Well, I mean, it was. It's
it was,
just
but
it wasn't as widespread or in your face as it is these days.
okay, you want to know who I find is the biggest fun sucker of them all? I blame Sue Park, who is a Korean American social justice internet activist. You know, the one who started the cancel Colbert shit.
Oh, they tried to cancel Colbert?
Yeah, that fucking cunt.
Great idea. Great idea.
Yeah, that fucking
No,
cunt.
not really. It's not really a good idea. Any kind of canceling.
Yeah,
I don't give a shit if I disagree. It's like, if people don't want to support something, then they won't support it. That's it. It's not about canceling. It's about literally just walking away from it.
Well, here's
canceling means that you're going out of your way to tell people, don't go support this person. In fact, push it to where this person needs to be removed.
Let me ask you a question. Did Colbert push the vax?
Yeah.
Okay. Without any backing whatsoever of any information on the data fucking sheet that wasn't present in the box of the actual vax. So I'm not going to belabor the point. The thing is that I would cancel his ass because he's playing doctor, for example.
I'm not going to cancel him.
That's my position, because
no, I got
putting
it.
that shit on people.
Here's why. Here's why.
Tell me why.
Because, and if you want to apply this to yourself, you can. This is what I say, that if I'm going to be consistent on cancel culture, I'm not going to openly call for someone to be canceled. I think that the facts will speak for themselves, especially when it comes to the science of things.
Well,
and that means that you wouldn't have to go out of your way to call for someone to be deplatformed.
Okay, well, wait a minute. Didn't he have fact checkers on the shit that was coming out of his mouth about promoting the vaccination of the COVID-19 shit?
Yeah, let's not, because we don't want to get.
I'm just saying that.
Look, I don't want YouTube to censor this because we start talking about this stuff and they're going to start flagging the bullshit. We don't need that shit. But I know what you're saying, and again, I say the same thing, that I will not openly, or I won't go out of my way to call for someone to be canceled, because there will be other people that will do that themselves. Okay. And if what somebody is saying is bullshit, then the truth will come out. And there will be people there to call out the bullshit.
True.
And then the cards will fall where they will.
All right, go ahead, Carter. What were you going to say?
Okay, let's just say the reason why cancel culture is just fucking bullshit. It's because people are sad. They don't have anything better to do with their lives. I think they're just looking for attention. And honestly, like, you ever heard the phrase, like, if you don't like it, then don't. Okay, well, if you don't like it, don't ruin it for everybody. Well, I forgot what the saying was. Is that, like, okay, like, everybody has opinions. Like, example, like, some people like pineapple on their pizza. The other people don't think pineapple should belong on pizza. I'm one of the people that thinks that pineapple doesn't belong on pizza. Reason why is because I've had pineapple before. I don't like it. It's too sweet for my taste, though. And then you're gonna, like, and let's just say I'm a big celebrity and I'm a famous author and I'm writing a book, and then I make it, like, and I'm like having like and somehow I am being incriminated for, like, having a piece of like eating like making a Twitter post like, hey, I'm over at this restaurant, eating pizza, and then you see me like picking off pineapples and say hashtag pineapple doesn't belong on pizza. You get butthurt over it. You try to slander me because I have a different opinion. That's so fucked up, though. Now, you know why this looks so familiar? Let me tell you where this idea came from. The whole leftist thing, though, like, either you agree with them or you don't agree with them. You know where this came from? Came from a little place somewhere from an old newsreel in the 30s, but it's kind of hard to understand because the narration was in Russian. Can you guess where I'm talking about? Yep, the good old Soviet Union. They were forcing you to say you have to agree with this one thing. If you don't agree, you're either going to get shot, you're going to get hanged, or you're just going to be made an example
Bolshevik
of.
Revolution bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm seeing here, though. Basically,
Yes.
leftists. I call leftists and cancel culture a bunch of fucking communist Nazi cocksuckers.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's very blunt about it.
That's pretty blunt.
And I'll tell you what, anybody wants to come after me because I'm having a different opinion, don't hide behind the fucking screen and try to cancel me. Like, if you want to cancel me, don't hide behind the fucking screen and be a little fucking yellow rat or a snitch.
Yeah, like a little bastard in the Wizard of Oz, right? Hiding behind the curtain.
No, as I was saying though, don't be a little yellow rat motherfucker or a sewer rat or a snitch.
Yeah.
Don't hide behind the screen and tell somebody to do this.
Everybody's opinion matters.
Everybody's opinions matter. If you want to talk to somebody, if you don't like my opinion, then you don't like it. I'm not forcing you to like my shit, though. It's your opinion. You don't have to like it. Doesn't mean you have to ruin it for everybody else, though. Another thing, if like I said though, if you want to snitch on me because I hurt your feelings, don't hide behind the fucking screen. Come talk to me man to man or man to woman or whatever. Come face me in person, body and face. Though you want to fucking square, if you don't have the fucking balls to square up, to have the common decency to come and talk to me instead of hide like a little bitch behind a screen, though, or wherever country you're in, get your ass off from behind the screen. Come meet me face to face, and if you don't like it, just talk to me. Like, what don't you like about it? Okay. And if you want to, and guess what though? And if you want to throw down, I'll fucking throw down on you because you're gonna go in the ICU if you want to throw down.
Just remember that the majority of humanity, as I am viewing it across the planet, in fact, there are more countries protesting certain things across the planet than they are here. So it's very important to be outspoken, Carter. So I appreciate what you did, what you said.
I'm going to go ahead and address the chat. So Rusty has a question for you, Carter. He says, Carter's thoughts. Is it fair to base a friendship with me and hold extreme views totally against my own without telling me? And why would you want to be mine, for example, knowing that?
Okay. To answer your question though, holding extreme views, that's like think of it as like you're trying to close a deal, or I'm trying to give like an example of like how to do it though. I'm sorry, I'm still fuming from that rant though. Okay, so let's just say you're trying to think of friendship though. You have something in common, like you have something like, let's just say you have something in common like video games or Legos or whatever, and that other person has the same thing, like you're interested in what that person's interested in what you're interested in. But however, you have to be very careful though, because think of it as like trying to negotiate or trying to defuse a bomb though, or trying to close a business deal. You gotta make sure you got everything right though. You gotta make sure you have, it's like a meeting though. You gotta have a good pitch, you gotta have good slides, you gotta have like good research, you gotta have everything, like the facts in check though. And then if they agree, like if they're interested, then that's how you close the deal though. However, if you bring up stuff that doesn't make a damn lick of sense, it's total bullshit. Anything doesn't go the way it's supposed to go, it's gonna go to shit. It's gonna go to hell in a fucking nut basket or a hand basket. It's just, you just need to, like, friendships, religion, and politics. Those, like, that's the thing though. I don't like to bring those up though, because they're basically like mood killers. Like,
well, hang on, Carter, because he's talking. Don't deviate from what he's asking, because he's saying, if you're going to base a friendship with me and hold extreme views, he hasn't even expressed.
This is, well, look. Let me read the question again. Is it fair to base a friendship with you? So create a friendship with somebody and hold extreme views, and those extreme views are totally opposite of the other person. Is it fair to have that friendship?
Without telling me.
Yes. Is that fair to have that friendship and have those views and not tell the other person that you have those views?
Okay.
I think that would be considered lying or keeping information, but Well, here's the thing, though. Unless you ask, unless you bring it up, then it's okay to talk about that. But if
So your
nobody
answer
met,
would be
so if
yes or
nobody,
no.
so no, though, unless you keep it to that's a personal opinion, though. Everybody's got a personal opinion, though. Like, how would you feel if I started a conversation with, let's just say, like with Wolverine? I said, "Hey, buddy, what do you think? What do you think of the Prime Minister of Canada? Like, what do you think about his opinions on gay rights and how how Jews are being banned?" He'd be like, "Man, fuck you," and like other stuff like that. You don't bring that shit up though, because if you want to have a good start up like a good friendship, you leave that shit at the door. You leave it out, like just leave it out, because those are what could ruin a friendship though, right before it could even start though. You just leave it alone.
Everybody's opinion matters, right, Carter?
Exactly. So unless somebody asks about your opinions, then it's okay to talk about that though. Otherwise, if they don't like if he has opposite opinions of what you're into, then and that's okay though. It doesn't just be okay with like okay example like okay so you're a straight Democrat who supports straight marriage, while I'm a Republican bisexual who supports the Second Amendment. Though, like, okay, so it's okay though. Like it's another thing though. Like, okay, so we don't exactly see eye to eye though, but that's not going to stop us from being friends, though. I mean, like, we have different
Exactly.
hobbies and stuff.
Here's an example. When I was a kid, we built a snow fort. One guy was more aggressive, or I was more aggressive than he was. And so I would go out the door of my snow fort and I would take a snowball, make it. And when cars passed by, I would hit it. He wouldn't do that.
Here's the thing about political views or views in general and relations with people. The base understanding that most people already know is that you have to be civil with everybody, regardless of your views on certain
Without kissing
things.
their ass.
Can you let me finish, please? Okay.
Yes, sir.
People of similar minds are going to gravitate towards each other. It's a natural thing that happens. You talk with somebody that has similar views to your own, you're going to naturally be more inclined to spend more time with them. That doesn't mean that you don't spend time with other people of different views, because if you have a regular job, you do that every day. Chances are that if you work at a office or a grocery store, car dealership, whatever, you're going to have people that work with you that have complete different political opinions from you. Now, if you want to further develop a relationship with somebody, then you start talking about these things more. Most of the time, you won't talk about it. That's just a coworker, and that's as far as the relationship goes. People will either gravitate towards you or they will deviate from you. And there's nothing wrong with that. There are people that you meet early on in your life that are not going to be with you forever. And that's okay. People move on. Other people, they're going to stick with you to the end, and that's good. That's a common ground that everybody should accept, that people do accept. It happens. It's already happened. Every single one of us at some point in our lives has already done that. And that's okay. I'm going to address the chat. Danner says, you could not cancel George Carlin. He'll cancel your ass.
Amen to that. Nope. Hey, that's a good argument though.
And Danner also says, I remember Sue Park. Blech.
Yeah.
Blech. The hashtag
Yeah.
from Bacon Stream.
Yep. Oh.
Rusty says, I play with Legos with someone I disagree with about pizza toppings with. I don't want to play Legos with a fascist who wants people like me arrested. That doesn't make me that doesn't make for a safe or productive friendship.
No shit.
Yeah. So then you don't associate with that person.
There you go,
Okay,
man.
then don't associate with it. No one's
go
forcing
your own
Because
fucking way.
this country is full of people of differing viewpoints.
Dude,
Okay?
man.
You can find somebody
Oh, fuck.
that is into the same stuff that you are. Okay, there are groups online. There's probably groups in your local area that will agree with you every day. Okay, it's not like that. This idea, for example, of neo Nazis. One of the biggest things about neo Nazis is that they're so
Dude.
terrifying. No, please let me finish. I need to get this out there.
I
Okay?
got to get this out too. So go ahead.
The idea of neo Nazis, people like to exaggerate their presence in things. Yeah. Here's the thing: if the neo Nazis were in such great power as some of the media would have you believe,
Yeah.
one, we would have never had a black president.
We already
wouldn't
said
have. Yeah, we said that a long time ago. But anyway, okay.
that. You'd never have a what?
Black president, black political figures that are in high positions of power. It wouldn't be happening. Okay.
No shit, right?
So my point is that there are people that will agree with you, and you will gravitate towards those people. If you don't want to associate with somebody who thinks that you should be arrested for having a certain lifestyle, then you don't need to conversate with them. And I wouldn't even say that they should be arrested, because you can have whatever political beliefs you want. That's the thing about free speech. The thing about free speech is that everybody's voice can be said. Everybody can have their voices be heard, even if it's all bullshit. Even if they say the most ridiculous shit on the planet, I would say that they have a right to say what they want to say, as long as they're not hurting anybody. And by hurt, I mean physical violence, people being literally killed. If you're just offended by what they're saying, grow the fuck up. Straight up. Grow the fuck up. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that we can revert back to the Constitution, which in the framework has the Bill of Rights, right? And in that framework, it gives you the unadulterated right to speak your mind. Okay? And that's very important. To disagree, agree, but it's there, it's enshrined for you as a human being in this country. So we need to take advantage of that like we are tonight.
Right. Bacon's here. Hello, Bacon. He says, hey, guys. He also says, blah. Carter should remember that from our streams with Bacon. Rusty says, hence my point about probably needing to know these things. Well, look, here's the thing. If you're going to have a conversation with somebody and you want to kind of, break the ice, so to speak, you ask these questions. Okay. And that if you want to take that upon yourself to do so, then more power to you. Not everybody does that, and not everybody should have to do that. Eventually, these things do come out, and you will either agree with that person or you won't.
Quit walking on eggshells, right?
It's as simple as that. Yeah, just break the ice.
That's cut and dry. Really is.
Emily says, hey, y'all. How you doing, Emily? Good to see you. So, let's talk about what happened with Gina Carano, and particularly how that affected us. I'm not going to say this. I'm not going to go into complete detail in the sense that I'm not going to give certain names out just out of respect and civility, but I will nonetheless discuss what happened. So we were a part of a network. We were a part of a network, which was a collaboration of different podcasts. And when Gina Carano got fired, we were actually in the middle of our it was our retroathon.
Right.
And me, Carter, and the King of a Nation, we had a discussion about it. We were pissed off. We were very pissed off. Yeah. I wasn't surprised by what happened, but I was pissed off nonetheless. Yeah. So we decided to make some Twitter posts. Well, people on our network did not like what we had to say. They didn't like that I wanted to share the information, that I wanted them to give their thoughts on it as well. And we basically offended some people because people in the network thought that what Gina Carano said was very offensive. So the mere fact that we supported it meant that we were also guilty by association, guilty for showing our support, because what Gina Carano said was so blatantly bad. Everybody unanimously agreed that what Gina Carano said was offensive. It was anti-Semitic and all that nonsense, all that bullshit. It's bullshit. Okay. And it's ironic because what Gina Carano did say, well, she was right about it. She was absolutely right about it. There's no doubt at this point. So after a day or two of discussing, and we weren't necessarily involved with the discussion either, the result was that we got removed from the network. We were subtly canceled in a way for supporting Gina Carano. I don't regret it one bit because I know that what we said, what we tweeted out was right.
Yeah.
We knew that Gina Carano being fired was wrong.
That's
And
right.
I have no regrets whatsoever in supporting her. And if I could go back in time and make a different choice, I wouldn't. I would do the exact same thing. I would say exactly what I said. And I would say, that if you have a problem with me, you need to come tell me to my face. Okay. It does no good to try and cancel us and then to just like ghost us. You try to cancel us, you try to ghost us, you try to avoid the conversation, or in some people's cases, you try and have a conversation, but then the conversation devolves into name calling and assuming that people are a certain way when you don't even have a conversation with them other than a stupid fucking Twitter discussion.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important that we understand what she said, right? Because she said that Jews were beaten in the streets not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors.
You go ahead and continue talking. I'm going to go
Right.
ahead and pull up.
Even by children. In fact,
I'm going to pull up the post.
I will say that I know a German lady who is 96 years old.
We ourselves are German.
That's right. And she stated that what would happen is that there would be other Germans that would lay down because their home was right next to the railroad tracks, and they would listen to what other Germans were saying about the Nazi party and all those things alike. So anyway, that was another method of where they would find out who was against the Nazi party and things of that nature.
So for those looking at the screen, you can see this is exactly what she posted on the right-hand side. This is what she got fired for. You guys can read that yourself. We're also going to read it out loud here so you can understand. Go ahead.
Yeah, because she goes on to say, because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How's that any different from hating someone for their political views?
Yes, exactly. And can you tell the difference? And you want to know what's so different about this one? She's not mentioning any political parties. However, when you see Pedro Pascal's post, he didn't get fired. He was still with Disney. There was a picture of the Confederate flag that said 1865, losers. Then it was the Nazi flag, and it said 1945, losers. And then it shows 2020 that says with MAGA hats on it that says losers as well, though. And he was pretty sure he was pointing the finger at the Republicans and the conservatives.
Yeah,
so
he has no breadth or width or depth of understanding about the past whatsoever.
So
when you look at that rebel flag, that Nazi flag, and the Trump, they have nothing, zero to do with each other at all. Zero.
And let's be fair
a student
here.
Of history
this post,
and tell the truth.
This post that he made, it's similar in the sense that you're sharing political opinions on things.
That's filthy.
Okay, and he didn't get fired for it, even though he called a large majority of the country Nazis and Confederates, which I would argue is not true even the slightest. You could probably talk to these people that voted for Trump, and whether or not you agree with Trump is irrelevant. What's relevant is that you talk to these people that this dipshit is calling Nazis, because I can promise you that there's a very big difference between Americans that voted for Trump and Nazis. Just a thought. There is a big difference. And all you have to do is just talk to these people about it.
Go ahead, Carter.
But, obviously you can't talk.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Discourse.
I am sorry to interrupt you. I wanted to get this off my chest though before I lose it. Another victim of cancel culture, one of my favorite actors, Johnny Depp. Want to know why he was a victim of cancel culture? Do you know why? Because his whore of a wife, or should I say ex-wife, Amber Heard, accused him of being a wife beater. Not only is that slandering, but in one of the tapes, you could actually hear her confessing, saying that I beat the shit out of Johnny to make it look like I beat the shit out of my husband, though. And so basically, don't you think it's hypocritical that Amber Heard is still in Hollywood while Johnny Depp gets the sack from Warner Brothers? Not to mention, though, they were in the middle of filming Fantastic Beasts 3, and now they fired him and replaced it with Matt Milkinson, the guy from Hannibal and Casino Royale. It was a nice choice, though, but Johnny Depp will always be Grindelwald, not Hannibal Lecter. I'm sorry. But don't you think, though, that she's being hypocritical, that Johnny is being slandered and painted as a wife beater while she herself is actually, it's the other way around, though, that she is beating her husband, though? It's kind of stupid, though.
Okay, look, I know that Carter, you went off on another angle there. Can you
But
bring
it is
things
somewhat
back
relevant,
together?
though. It
Right,
is
it is
somewhat
relevant.
relevant, though, because the thing is that another part of cancel culture, this is something that we sort of touched on with identity politics in the previous episode, is that by Amber Heard accusing Johnny Depp of being a wife beater, you had the feminists, those hardcore feminists that say that men are cancer. Okay, Johnny Depp did get canceled. Of course, it was found out that he was innocent. So there was a little bit of, levity to that situation. But the situation that happened is nonetheless bullshit. And Carter is absolutely right, because Amber Heard is still employed by Hollywood, I believe. And I mean, Hollywood's full of nothing but shitheads anyway. So it really doesn't.
Cocksuckers.
It really doesn't matter. I
Is
mean,
that
we
why
already
China
know
is backing out of Hollywood?
Gina.
taken,
Yeah. Well. I mean,
Anyway,
she got
another
employed
story.
with the Daily Wire, which I have my opinions on. But that's not relevant necessarily. To
Well, I just want to say that, the Post never said anything about Republicans or conservative, getting back to Gina Carano, okay? It doesn't say anything about that in there at all, okay? It was more about, people tearing each other apart, okay? So.
Right. Rusty says, I read all her threads. She seemed to keep it neutral. Had she identified one side or another, I would have more understood the problem. I just have to ask her personally before judging further. Here's the thing, okay? It shouldn't matter what your political opinions are, okay? Because the truth is that Hollywood is full of leftists. We know this because every single talk show was a doggy on Trump. And again, regardless of whether or not you agree with Trump is irrelevant. The point is it was clearly slanted to one side.
Right.
That is undeniable. The facts are there. You literally just have to watch all the videos. Look at CNN, Fox News, the late night talk shows. They're all slanted one way. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and she made her point. In my opinion, she was telling the truth, and it doesn't have anything to do with
telling the truth, because it's exactly what's happening. People of differing opinions are being judged, and the more predominant opinion, the more predominant view is hardcore leftism. And this is coming from somebody who's not in the two-party system, because the whole two-party system is bullshit anyway. So I'm looking at this from the outside saying that, okay, leftist Hollywood is absolutely a thing. Conservatives aren't exactly welcome there. There are still conservative people in Hollywood, obviously, but people are being more closeted about it because, Gina Carano is that shining example. Who else? Dave Chappelle. I mean, he's not necessarily conservative, but he got dogged out by the trans community.
Kevin Hart.
Yeah, Kevin Hart. But then Kevin Hart made the mistake of apologizing. That's the thing with these people. Whenever you offend somebody, you don't apologize. Just don't apologize, because they're going to use that against you.
Yeah, you might want to touch on Dave Chappelle too, man, because they just.
Yeah, I mean, he got canceled by
Netflix.
Netflix. People were saying that what he said about trans people was offensive. The thing about humor is that, and especially with Dave Chappelle goes after everybody. And that's the point of humor.
Absolutely.
Hell, just look at George Carlin. Once again, George Carlin, great comedian. He went after everybody.
He went after Catholics. He went after black people. He went after gays. He went after parents. He went after everybody.
Well, shit, man. Well, I mean, come on, man. I saw Eddie Murphy Raw back in 1989, man. I mean, nobody's attacking him as a black American entertainer and one of the best comedians on the fucking planet. Nobody's touching Eddie Murphy. Why? I'm going to tell you right now, everybody needs to go watch Eddie Murphy Raw and then bring your ass back on this show and give your opinion. Absolute. I don't want to hear the fucking bullshit. Absolute fucking insanity. People need to wake the fuck up, man. And I'm gonna die. I digress, man.
Rusty says, you're not doing the same thing. Haven't heard you use the word right wingers, but a whole lot of leftists. Here's why. Because
Right wingers.
the right wingers are not the ones that are in charge of Hollywood, and they're also not the ones that have been canceling people.
And neither are the left
That's
wingers.
not
It's
that's not
communists running Hollywood.
that's not saying that right wingers are innocent of anything. Okay. I have criticized right wingers or conservatives for a lot of things. One of the biggest things I've criticized them on is trying to say that video games are the problem for school shootings. I think that's absolute bullshit.
Yeah,
That's something that Trump has said. I am 100% against it. I'm also 100% against them trying to censor movies. I know you touched on this, Rusty, in one of your streams about the Hays Code, where films were being censored back in the 1930s, 40s. Okay, and there was a lot more of a conservative-esque thinking back then. There's a lot of things that were good about those early days, but there was also a shit ton of bad. Those are one of the bad things, censoring film. So yes, I have criticized them. It's just this topic, the war on pop culture, it's being affected by a bunch of hardcore leftists. That's just a fact. Okay, because they're the loudest voices right now talking about things that need more diversity and representation. That is language that is literally coming from them mostly. You'll hear conservatives talk about it, but they're not going to touch it very much because they're kind of spineless. They're not being very blunt. And again, the two-party system, it's fucking bullshit. Okay. I may not be using the words right wingers a lot, but that doesn't mean that I'm a conservative person. I have conservative ideas just like I have liberal ideas. Okay. But that doesn't make me a conservative.
Well, look, I like to share something here, okay? You ready?
Go ahead.
Hang on. Go ahead and continue. I'm trying to get it straight here.
Okay. Danner says Hank Azaria made a huge mistake when he apologized for voicing Apu. I agree.
Definitely agree. Oh,
because the thing is that for many years, animation, film and in the animation sense, you had people of different colors voicing other people of different colors. You had, I forget the guy's name, but it was a black guy, a black voice actor who was voicing Samurai Jack, and Samurai Jack is Japanese. And I don't remember anybody complaining about that. For the longest time, I don't remember people complaining about the fact that Mike Henry was voicing Cleveland Brown, a black man. Then they had Mike Henry stop voicing Cleveland so they could give it to another guy that was good at doing the Cleveland voice. Okay, it's hypocritical to, like, again, this is going back to tokenization, where you have a replacement of white characters, turning them into black versions, and you're saying, oh no, it's not about an agenda. It's just it was the best person for the job, right? It was the best person for the job. That's bullshit. Straight up bullshit. Because you literally have a situation like Hank Azaria, okay? He was voicing Apu, and then suddenly now he's not. Because Apu is stereotypical Indian guy, right? But, it was comedy. The Simpsons is a comedy, just like Family Guy is a comedy. And I wasn't aware that you had to have the exact people to do those exact voices, and they had to be the exact same skin color, blah, 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 blah. I think it's stupid. It's absolutely retarded.
Just like James Avery, Uncle Phil, voicing Shredder in the 80s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like a black guy voicing a Japanese guy. Not to mention, like, they didn't go after him.
Yeah.
Don't you think it's bizarre?
It's stupid.
And another part of like cancel culture, which I find to be complete bullshit now, is the removal of the Confederate flag. Now here, like, remember that fucking incident when that fucking white kid decided to shoot up a church full of black people, and before he did, he posted a picture of him burning the American flag and posing with the Confederate flag. People got butthurt all over it, though. And now here's another thing, though. Some people say, "Oh my God, the Confederate flag, it's racist. It's considered with the Ku Klux Klan." No, it's not, though. That's not even the original Confederate flag, though. The original flag for the Confederate States of America was basically stars and bars. So it was basically two red stripes, one white stripe, and and a blue square with a stars in it, with a few stars in it representing the states that seceded from the Union. Though that's the original Confederate flag. Though. That flag was considered the Robert E. Lee flag, or was it the Tennessee flag? Any of those flags. And like they think it's racist though, because just because you have that flag, and you're okay. Now here's another thing though, like another part of cancel culture, the Dukes of Hazzard. Do you know why it got canceled though? Because they have a car named after one of the Civil War generals called the General Lee that has the Confederate flag on it. Excuse me, it was a TV show back in the days. I'm pretty sure they just let it go out the window. And you think it's racist though? No. How's it considered offensive though? It's not like they had like an old Mercedes Benz call it the Mein Führer with the fucking Nazi flag on the roof of the car and have double lightning bolts on the doors. Don't you think that's a little hypocritical?
Yeah, big time. Canceling history, man. You can't cancel history, man.
Right. So Rusty says, and this is in response to what happened with Dave Chappelle. He says, probably because they know he was just being bombastic after he got caught sleeping with a trans prostitute.
Yeah, it has nothing to do at all with what he said. Absolute nothing.
I think
Rusty is off the rails on that.
I think that Rusty was making a joke.
Okay. Joke.
So Danner says, Phil Lamar voiced Samurai Jack. I met him once. Nice guy. He was also Marvin in Pulp Fiction. That's right. I thought. Yeah, that's really cool.
Oh fuck! I shot Marvin in the face. Why the fuck would you do that?
Rusty says, I hated it when Scarlett Johansson was attacked for Ghost in the Shell. Yeah. Having American adaptations of Japanese media,
so fucking
it's kind of like hit or miss on things. Like, for example, Cowboy Bebop. Yeah, that show got canceled. But the funny thing is that a few of the actors involved with that series, they were taking a giant shit on a bunch of the fans of that anime. The actress that was playing the female character, one of the female leads, she was very pretentious, stupid, arrogant, and people hated that. She was addressing fan critiques on the costume for the character and how it looked like shit. And so she wanted to be a smartass and say, "Oh, I'm sorry that we couldn't, that they couldn't find somebody that was 6 foot with a busty chest." And she went on and said some other things, but she was being very arrogant. And then the Cowboy Bebop Netflix adaptation got canceled after only one season. It's like when you insult the fan base, you insult the people that are supporting your stuff. That's not a smart move. Right? Because why would you? I mean, it's kind of like the biting the hand that feeds you thing, right? Because it doesn't make any sense to insult the people that would support your stuff if you actually put your heart and soul into it and you were focused on making quality content and not being arrogant and stupid and trying to make some kind of social political statement or just straight up trying to insult the fan base. Because if people are going to critique something, most of the time it's because they care. I always say this when we talk about Star Wars. When people say that, oh, you don't like the sequel trilogy, you're just a toxic fan, a hater. No, I'm not. In fact, I grew up with Star Wars. I enjoyed the first 6 films, even the prequels. Yes, the prequels may have their problems, but you know what? At least the prequels were focused on telling a good story, and they weren't made to insult the fan base, right? Sequel trilogy, I don't know what the fuck they were doing. I think they were smoking crack.
No, I'm pretty sure they were smoking crack fused with cow shit.
Right. So, Kyle Curtis Flett, how you doing, man? He says, "Hey, Carter, Caleb Carter, Mr. C, Emily, Bacon, Danner, Rusty. How you doing, Kyle? Good to hear you." Rusty says, also, it was about Eddie Murphy, not Dave. Eddie got caught doing that. Okay. Something about I guess it was the trans prostitute thing. Danner says, I didn't hate the casting in the Last Airbender because of whitewashing. I hated them because they were terrible at acting. Yeah.
Exactly.
I never watched the Last Airbender, either the show or the movie. But I did hear a lot of people say that the movie was shit.
Exactly.
And, it's like, yeah, I can imagine so. I mean, usually with a lot of American adaptations of Japanese material, it doesn't always go well. We saw this with Godzilla, like the '98 film. That wasn't Godzilla. It was a decent film, but it was not Godzilla.
It was Zilla.
We also saw it with the Dragon Ball movie, Dragon Ball Evolution. That was
Oh
complete
God.
dog shit. Don't know what they were trying to do there.
No shit.
So anytime they announce that there's going to be some kind of Japanese adaptation or an American adaptation of a Japanese material, I always get concerned. Like they're doing with One Piece. And I'm not excited for that one bit because I saw what happened with Cowboy Bebop, and take into consideration that there is political agendas being pushed in cinema and pop culture. I'm not excited for it one bit. I'm not excited for it one bit.
Exactly. And another thing though is that they chose the right, like, they didn't choose the right person to play Spike Spiegel. To be honest though, who I thought had been a really cool person to play Spike Spiegel? Fucking Keanu Reeves. Because back then though, that this guy, he loves Cowboy Bebop though, and he said this because I was watching this one video. It was called Top 10 Celebrities That Love Anime, and he was on the list. He loved Cowboy Bebop, and he said that one day if they were ever going to do like a live film adaptation or a TV show adaptation of Cowboy Bebop, he wanted to play Spike Spiegel and it's not because and here's the thing though, if a person is like passion, like he has like this, let's just say I'm a person, like I'm a big celebrity and I love reading a certain foreign material like anime or manga. And I'm like, this is really, really good. And then you know what though? Or if I was a big celebrity like a director or something, like, you know what? I want to make this a live adaptation though. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. I'm going to do it by the book. And I don't want to be any of those things though. So some people are going to say, oh, so what? You're going to whitewash it now? Like, no, I'm going to try to stick to this fucking source material. It's just stuff like that though.
Yeah. So Danner says, insult the fan base. Yeah, that'll totally make our crappy show or movie a success. When will they learn?
Exactly.
I agree, Danner. You insult your fan base. That's for critiquing your product. That's not going to achieve anything. In fact, it's going to do the opposite. It's going to it's going to make things worse for you. And I mean, dude, we see this with Star Wars. I always like to reference Star Wars because Star Wars was a big indicator for a lot of things. The sequel trilogy was shit. It was absolute dog shit. It contradicted everything that made the first 6 films special in the first place.
Epic failure.
And this is true because the film that really broke the camel's back was The Last Jedi and how they treated Skywalker. After that, the next film that came out after that was Solo, a Star Wars story. And that film, it lost money at the box office. And usually Star Wars films bank in a lot of cash. But this didn't. It didn't, at least in as much as the previous films did. Obviously, it made money. These films, the sequel trilogy, they made money. That doesn't mean that they were good. Because do you see any more mass production of those sequel trilogy characters? Do you see any content? You do see some content, but you're not seeing a lot of focus on the sequel trilogy characters. I mean, hell, let's say what we're looking at. We had a Star Wars video game, Jedi Fallen Order, that wasn't focused on the sequel trilogy. We had The Mandalorian, which wasn't focused on the sequel trilogy. It was focused on original trilogy stuff. You had Rogue One, which it came out in 2016, so it was before Last Jedi, but it wasn't focusing on, the sequel trilogy. It was focusing on the nostalgia of the original trilogy. Let's see, what else did you get?
Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah, Rebels. That was focused on
Clone Wars,
original trilogy. They brought back the Clone Wars. That's obviously the prequels. But you're not getting a lot from the sequel trilogy, and I think it's very telling because people know that it's shit, and so we're here like, yeah, you know what? You can go ahead and continue making your bullshit. Me personally, I don't give a shit that they're bringing back Boba Fett because, as far as I'm concerned, Disney has fucked up a lot of things. And Kathleen Kennedy is still at Lucasfilm, so I don't really care anymore. I'm at a point now where the first 6 Star Wars films, that's my Star Wars. Some of the Clone Wars, that's my Star Wars. Everything else, I don't really care. I just don't.
The only source material we got for the sequel trilogy was that crappy Top Gun version show called the Star Wars Fighter Squadron or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Or Resistance Fighters. That one. That's the only piece of shit we got. They only got 2 seasons, or was it?
Oh yeah,
3?
Star Wars Resistance.
Yeah.
Hey, Caleb, were you drinking that Mountain Valley spring water
Yeah.
in that beautiful green bottle? You know, that I guess that's better than fucking drinking titty milk shit from
The Last Jedi.
It's supposed to be blue milk, but I didn't know that
Whatever
blue
the
milk
fuck
came
that
from
was.
a
Disgusting.
humanoid walrus.
Anyway,
no,
we
I
gotta
gotta do
let
it.
that shit go, right?
What did Luke do in the Last Jedi? He was like, that's what he did. That's what he did.
That's beautiful, man.
Unbelievable stupidity. Rusty says, I love the Cowboy Bebop anime from 2001. Yeah, here's the thing. I never watched Cowboy Bebop, but I did hear about the outrage. And considering that I've seen a lot of my favorite franchises go to hell, I can sympathize with people whose franchises also went to hell. For example, big fan of Doctor Who.
Yes.
Then they brought in the 13th Doctor that completely just fucked over everything
up.
to do with the entire series. From what I heard, and I've only watched one episode of the new Doctor. That was the very first episode, and I wasn't impressed. But they added something to the lore of the series that fucked up everything. Where the sequel trilogy fucked up the original trilogy, Doctor Who fucked up the entire franchise. The entire franchise. Doctor Who is not what it once was anymore. And
Raped,
I have no desire to
pillaged,
watch
and
any of that.
violated.
And you know, it's funny because I've actually gone back to watch some of the original Doctor Who, not the older stuff, but I'm talking about New Who from 2005, up to some of Peter Capaldi. Right now, I'm with David Tennant's 10th Doctor, and I'm having a great time with it. And for me, it's like, you know what? As long as I don't have to watch that bullshit 13th Doctor crap, I don't have to worry about any kind of rewrites to the canon because I'm not going to consider that shit canon. Same thing with the sequel trilogy. Just not going to look at it as canon.
Can I say something?
Bullshit.
I want to interject something that was so important to me.
Mhm.
I want you to go back to the late 70s, definitely early 80s, and have Elvira, the Great Svengoolie, the Twilight Zone, and Doctor Who on Saturday and Friday and Saturday night. It was the best. And then we would go out and play and do our shit, go, in the late night hour and do the shit we did. But we could always come back at the late night hour and watch those shows. And the Doctor Who just sticks right in my mind from 40 years ago plus.
There was quality back then.
Yes.
Absolute.
And the quality these days, it's shit. There's a war on pop culture because you have people that will defend these classic franchises and will bump up against the bullshit that they consider to be a continuation of these different franchises. You have these two different camps. The camp that wants to support the original stuff and go against the bullshit of the new stuff, because that's what a lot of this stuff is. A lot of what's come out from resurrecting old franchises is all crap. There might be a few sprinkles of not being insulted or belittled by the people making these things, but I don't consider that stuff to be like a step in the right direction in the sense that this is what I wanted. I don't consider The Mandalorian to be like, yeah, you know what? A few years of sequel trilogy bullshit, just kind of violated me. But yeah, The Mandalorian, it's all right. It's like, yeah, The Mandalorian didn't insult me, but that doesn't make it good. It was mediocre at best for me. So, it's kind of like they take one step forward or a half step forward, and then they take like 7 steps back. That's how it was with the sequel trilogy. They give us Mandalorian. And of course, after Gina Carano got fired, I checked out. I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm done. And, that's what happened. And then, everything happened with us with that podcast network.
I thought exactly.
And, that's why I said earlier tonight that the incident that happened with Gina Carano hits very close to the chest for us, because we wanted to go to bat for her because what happened to her was wrong, and people didn't like that. And so what happened, but it's fine because we're doing our own thing. We're moving on. Of course, I'll never forget it. I'll never forget what happened. And I will always support Gina Carano because as you can see in the thumbnail of this stream and the video, hashtag Gina Carano was right.
Yeah, 100%. The truth is a bitch, and she always fights to the end.
Danner says, look what happened with Sonic the Hedgehog. When everyone collectively called the horrible design a visual tumor, they didn't insult the fan base. They took time to fix it. Absolutely.
They did.
Exactly.
You're
He
right. I
says,
remember
not
that.
only to
Yeah.
please fans, but it was a great business strategy to listen to the criticism prior to release so they can make their money as a result. The movie would succeed. Who would have thought? Yeah, I mean, dude, absolutely. When they released the first
I enjoyed
trailer for Sonic and they had that nightmare design,
Yeah.
I didn't hear people say that it was toxic fans or it was, you know, a hate-filled fan base. They literally came out with a statement and said, we hear your criticism and we're going to set the movie back a few months so that we can get the Sonic design right. And I was like, oh my God, you're telling me that Hollywood was actually listening to the fan base? What a revelation. Wow.
Yes,
But, you know,
exactly.
go
Like,
ahead,
listen. I'm sorry. Like, exactly. You need, like, this is what y'all need to do. Y'all need to listen to you need to listen to the fandom and not call them, like, not call them out though for being a bunch of like man babies and stuff like that though. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Ryan Johnson. Yeah, I'm talking to you.
Mhm.
Like, listen to your fandom though. Listen to the fandom. And like, listen to the fans though. Give the fans what they want. Don't give them a fuck. Like, when they expect something good quality, they want good quality, not a fucking Great Value, Hill Country Fair, Sam's Club knockoff. Not that shit.
Yeah.
Listen to your fans though. Otherwise, how are the fans going to provide you money from the ticket sales at the box office that goes into your pocket while you're fucking sucking on a margarita
Well, maybe what's happening is that they're willing to sacrifice, knowing that they're going to get enough money, and they just create this, conquer and divide situation. What do you think about that?
Yeah. But the thing is that when they pander to these people, that's ultimately not going to sell. We're seeing this with Marvel and DC and their comics because the American comic book industry is dying. And in fact, anime and the manga sales are outselling Marvel and DC. They're outselling them. And you have to wonder, why is that? Well, it's quite simple because the Japanese, for the most part, aren't pushing political bullshit. They're focused on telling their stories. And it just so happens that Americans are really enjoying it. And it's a breath of fresh air because they're not being lectured to.
Right. Good
And
content, good story.
the problem is that, that's a really good thing. It's really good that you get alternate sources to be able to enjoy. The problem is that we need to get Americans back on board to produce good stories too, which is why you have many people doing their own comic book series for superheroes and stuff, not related to Marvel or DC. People like Eric July. Again, we talked about him on the last episode. Eric July, Young Rippa 5'9". Just type that up on YouTube. You'll find him. He's doing his own comic book series, and I applaud him. I am doing my own comic book series right now. I'm still working on the foundation of it, getting the story together, but I am fully committed to producing my own comic book series that will be coming out sometime soon. I'll be sharing posts on Twitter, Facebook, social media, so you guys can see what it is I'm working on. But I would highly encourage people to do their own work, to make your own superheroes. Okay, that way you can show the big wigs at Hollywood that we can make good stuff too, and then you can become rivals to them, because that's what it is. Having fan projects come out, like for example, Roseblood, Friday the 13th fan film by Peter Anthony. I watched that fan film the other day. We did a watch along, and it impressed me so much. It was so good. It was a breath of fresh air. I really enjoyed the film, and this is something that I want to talk about, and I'll do a dedicated video on this sometime soon. But I fully believe that fan films are going to rival Hollywood productions. You give the right people the right money to do the project they want to make their dreams happen, it's going to rival Hollywood. Absolutely.
Right. Look, let me say something that's really important. I know you use the word rival. It's not, in my opinion, it's not a rival. It's a replacement for the shit show that they allowed themselves to come to. So everything you just said is legit, true, and great, but it's not a rival. It's a replacement, and it's power to the people of every race, creed, color, culture, religion under the sun to create their own content and their own, material to present to a new audience, a young audience, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Let the sun rise.
Oh, sorry. Another victim of cancel culture was cop shows like Live PD, Cops. Exactly.
Continue. Yeah, that was not Luke Skywalker. I agree. And if
Exactly.
I remember correctly, Mark Hamill referred to that character as Jake Skywalker. He said, "That's not my Luke Skywalker." That's very telling, by the way.
Exactly.
Continue, Carter.
So anyway, as another victim of cancel culture, big live like live shows like Cops and Live PD and even Paw Patrol got canceled because it had cops in it though. Like due to the fucking George Floyd incident though, the death of George Floyd though, those shows got canceled though because it represented the police though and how like cops always go after minorities and other people. They don't go after just minorities. They go after anybody.
And the numbers don't even match up. Oh, I digress.
Right.
Exactly, though.
But yeah, cop shows definitely a victim of cancel culture. We saw quite a few of that. Quite a few of that stuff happening.
Well, let me just say this real quick. Is that because you have the media. The media is a very powerful agent, and so we have these venues and platforms to speak out, and so we have to understand that the truth and the lie is not too far apart, and so I'm very thankful to have this platform here where we can talk about these things.
Right. So Danner says, I consider the Jedi Knight video game trilogy that has Kyle Katarn my sequel trilogy. Yeah. I never played it, but I have heard of it, and I heard it was pretty fun, pretty good. Rusty says, I hate the new Scooby Gang and Tom's Spider-Man. So PC, it just ruins it. I love the movies, but I have to ignore his friend group. I want them all dead. Yeah, I'm not impressed with their version of MJ, who I'm told is not supposed to be Mary Jane exactly. But they use the term MJ to reference her in Spider-Man Far From Home. So it's like, yeah. So Rusty also says Gina certainly didn't choose conservative or traditionalist roles. In the Blood and Scorched Earth are the farthest things from it, which is why I loved her roles so much. Yeah, well, I mean, Hollywood is Hollywood. You play different characters. I mean, you don't play who you are. Your job as an actor is to play somebody that you're not. That's what.
Amen to that. You're an actor.
So that's my argument when people have tried to label her to me. It's like, yeah, well, you could also say that it shouldn't matter what her political views are because you have an entire industry that supports a left-wing ideals, and it's like, you know what? All right, that's fine and all, but conservatives, to be fair, to be equal opportunity type thing, conservatives should be able to voice their opinions without being canceled.
It's not fine at all. I mean, everybody should be able to speak their opinion, and we move on, and we can and conduct, our work, and we perform, and we create a project, and we give it to the fans. Okay, I mean that's where it's at, man. Everybody's got to have their opinion. You move the hell on,
right?
But they're just flipping everything the fuck upside down. It's disgusting.
Yeah. Danner says, remember Daniel Kibblesmith's New Warriors, the comics for SJWs?
Oh, God.
Is that from Marvel? Was that the what were the characters? It was Snowflake, Safe Space. We actually used them for one of our thumbnails. It was on our first episode. They were like the brother and sister duo. One of them was blue haired, the other was pink haired. There was those shit, like I think they were from Marvel or DC, I can't remember, but they were stupid as hell. I can tell you that much. Danner also says, I loved Never Hike Alone. Yeah, Never Hike Alone was pretty good. I enjoyed that. Rusty says, that's why Paramount attacked the Star Trek fan films. They were miles better than anything that had done since Enterprise. So they tried to destroy the fan films. Yeah, they can go fuck themselves. Danner says, Snowflake and Safe Space. And don't forget internet gas. Yeah, that was, I remember when that was coming out. And I had seen the pictures for it. I was like, are they really being that stupid? Snowflake and Safe Space. I create superheroes like that. It's, I mean, I'll say this, that it's definitely different from what we've got previously, but that doesn't make it good. Just because it's different doesn't automatically mean that it's good. There has to be quality behind it. When you create new characters, there has to be a good story behind it, you know, and not trying to lecture people about things. But I don't know what kind of crack they were smoking when they came up with those characters, and they thought that it would actually sell very well. That's not the same thing that happened with the daughter of Starfire. You know, it was like a really chubby, goth-looking character, and she was like, "I'm not my mother," or some bullshit like that. I looked at that, I'm like, okay, Starfire's daughter looks very, very unusual, and they were trying to sell it. No thanks, I'm good. And you know, anyway.
Yeah. Anyway.
So I think we're going to call it there. This has been a very interesting discussion. This is actually, I enjoyed the conversation. I had a lot more to say this time around, and it was a good little discussion. Thank you guys for coming on, my co-hosts. You know, do you guys have any final words before we sign off for the night?
If cancel culture was a person, I'm pretty sure I would just beat the ever-loving shit out of them.
How about you?
Well, I would say that the First Amendment, the Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. It is so important that you, as a citizen of the United States of America, your voice matters.
Very good. Danner says, "See y'all next time. I'm off to go see Spider-Man." Hey, enjoy the film. We're gonna go see it Sunday. I know it's a little late, but we're gonna go see it eventually. We'll see it this Sunday. Hopefully, it's good. Although, you know, even if it is good, I'm not gonna say, "Oh yeah, Marvel is back in my good graces," because they're not. That's just me. Rusty says, "Good night, guys. Good night, Rusty." As for me, my final words are, don't let yourself be a victim of cancel culture, and support people that have been victimized by cancel culture. Support them in their endeavors. Definitely support Gina Carano, whatever she's doing. Of course, you know, support things that are good. If you find worth in what you're supporting, then, you know, support it. Don't just go support the alternative just because it's the alternative. Make sure that you're supporting something that's actually good. So yeah,
put all your heart and soul into it, and believe in it, and strive to be successful in whatever you're doing.
Right. So with that all being said, thank you guys very much for watching, listening, tuning in. And until next time, welcome to the war.